Hello and welcome back to Elder Bear Farm. We're gonna show you piece by piece a project that we're doing here. It's a nice winter day in January. It's mild in the 50s. That's really mild for the Mid-Atlantic in January, so this is when we get stuff like this done. The ground is soft, and so this is an area we talked about in previous videos. As you can see around me, we've got raised beds. These are about 7 years old, untreated wood, and so they've kind of live their life, and I could try to repair them and keep them going for a few more years. What I actually want to do is turn this area into a little bit more of a unified permaculture type of space, one that uses a better use of space, so more planting area and less footpath area. You see these footpaths are pretty wide. I did that on purpose so I could get a lawnmower through here, but frankly I'm tired of mowing back here, so I want to get rid of all the grass in this entire section and use wood chip paths instead. And so I'm not even really drawing this out, but I have a kind of a vision that this faces south. So in the summer, when the sun is in the east here behind me, comes up in the morning, gets really good summer sun, and then dips behind some trees that are to the south of us during the middle of the day, usually heads west, and then we get the afternoon sun as well. So it's a nice sunny spot. There's a lot I can do with it. In the past, these have been annual vegetables, and this will continue to be heavily an annual vegetable area, although over time I may work in some other perennials as well. But like I said, I did not do a design here. I'm gonna freestyle this a little bit, which is kind of like how I like to do things. I like to kind of move around the space, take my time, do the project over several days, think about it as I'm doing it. Sometimes that does lead to mistakes that I have to go back and fix. But in this case, I've got this kind of arc shape, and my idea is somewhat of a keyhole style with paths coming in from two sides and joining in the middle, and then sort of reaching out to all the different spots so that I've got access to all these different planting areas over here. We'll be getting rid of all this wood entirely, and so then all the grass here has to get suppressed. So I've got my staging area over here. So these are the materials that we're mostly going to be using. If you've seen our video on compost, you'll know I collect leaves from my neighbors in their leaf bags. I hold on to the bags and I use them for weed suppression in projects like this. So these are great. They've been soaking wet from all the rain, which is nice. It'll keep them weighed down. They're great because they have a waxy film on them so that they don't break down immediately. And that actually helps to kill off the grass even better. Some of you watching may be a little suspect about bags like this, what are they treated with? They are brown. They do have some dye in some of the writing and all that stuff. For a project like this, that doesn't really concern me too bad. Maybe it's not 100% organic, but I know with really good soil, I'm gonna break down anything that might be harmful in there. And I don't know, it's urban agriculture. Those are the types of things you do. It's free resource, it is recycling. So we're gonna use that to spread out and to kill all this grass. If you look right here, right by it, we have a concrete sidewalk that runs through most of the farm. And this grass I'm gonna dig out because it's really hard to kill that off with just cardboard. It gets like really close up to the concrete. So I'll dig that out, kind of edge along there. And then behind me here, we've got a nice big batch of our compost. That's gonna go down on top of the paper bags once we get them down. So we'll spread that. It's gonna be a thin layer. It looks like a decent sized pile, but in a space this big, it won't go very far. It'll be a thin layer, but it'll be enough to hold the bags down. And then once I take the wood off of the raised beds, we'll be spreading that dirt out and then starting to shape where we're going to have the paths. The paths will be dug out, replaced with wood chips. I still have some wood chips from my last pile left over, so we'll be bringing loads of wheelbarrows down here to fill those in, probably not today. So our goal today is to get this all covered with the paper bags, to get the edging done around the sidewalk, and then possibly, depending on how we do from there, we'll start taking apart the wood and just getting the wood out of the site. Now we'll repurpose the wood as well. I use it as sort of erosion barriers in other places where I want to hold something in, but something that doesn't need to be very sightly or tidy. And so we'll be back. Just sit tight. and we'll catch you up in just a few minutes here when we made some progress. All right, so we worked for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and we got a lot done. So as you can see, we dug the paths out between the raised beds. We've got the bags laid next to the sidewalk and trenched out against the sidewalk. And then I'm gonna walk the path. So far I have it coming through here. You stay there, Jack. Thank you. I have it coming through here, curving this way, coming back to the middle path. That way, just like the raised beds, I can reach in from both sides. And this goes all the way back to the sidewalk. And I've got it looped up this way, because this gives me access to the grapes that are up here by the fence. This is all mulched anyways, so once I get to this point, I can move all back here. I can get to the goji berries that are in the back, over to the black raspberries. This will be a new garden bed area here where we have the bags down. So some of the soil that I dug out, I lumped up here, put the bags on top to kill off the weeds. The path continues here, does one cut to the other grapevine up on the fence, swerves back this way where we have a whole new bed starting here. I'm going to be finishing off on this other side over here with some more weed blockage, maybe some cardboard boxes, or maybe some more of these bags if I can get a hold of them. Like I mentioned in the previous video, we'll be taking the mulch here, the leaf mulch that we made from our compost video, covering up the bags, covering up some of the areas where we've got exposed soil. And then the last thing, the most fun part, will be to take away all the wood and then redistribute all the soil from the raised bed so that we have kind of just mounded areas of bed in between the trails. So that's part one of the video. Stay tuned. In part two, you'll see the finishing work. We'll do that in 2 stages again, so you can see the final product. If you're not familiar with this this style of creating garden beds, this is essentially sheet mulching. So there's lots of videos out there you can watch, books you can look up about sheet mulching, but it's essentially just blocking out the weeds and then building up biomass on top of that. Whatever you have, compost, manure, shredded leaves, wood chips, depending on how you want the final product to come out. But this is a really good way to completely redesign such a large area really fast. And my back's a little sore from hauling some of these wood chips around and doing some digging, but it would have been a lot more sore if I had to like double dig all this or try to get all that grass out of here that was here. So again, this redesign, it's permaculture-y in a lot of different ways. We may not be following contours here and capturing water in the best possible way, but what we are doing here is we're kind of making do with what was already here. We're going off of the sidewalk, which was here. The raised beds, I put them here, but a long time ago. Way easier to work with what's there and then provide us the access points to all the different fruit trees and vines that are in this area, as opposed to like redoing the entire structure if we wanted to like make it on contours or do some other kind of water management or other permaculture strategy. And so that's the thinking here. Hopefully the final product will look good. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, that way you'll know when part 2 comes out. Hopefully we'll continue to have some nice weather and we'll get it done really soon. Thanks for joining us.